Hello everyone! In today's video, I want to talk to you about how to customize the Windows 11 Start menu. You know, that Start menu is what's going to give you access to all the applications and settings and all kinds of other things on your computer. But when you look at it in Windows 11, it can definitely be a little bit confusing. You know, on the old ones, you could get access to your programs very quickly, and with Windows 11, it just looks really different. And it can be kind of scary trying to figure out how to get things the way you want them. So actually, believe it or not, I think when the new Windows 11 Start menu, it looks good. Once you learn how to set it up and customize it, it really does work well. So let's go in and take a look at the different settings we have, how you can add applications to the Start menu and so forth to where you can make it more productive for you. All right, let's take a look. First of all, what I want to do is I need to get to the Start menu, right? So I can click on the Start menu. You can see that, you know, there's all the various icons and so forth that are up there. More recent information is down here at the very bottom, like programs that you've installed and so forth. At the very top, you can do your searching. So like if you want to get access to, they call it a universal search. So if you wanted to type in, let's say I want to get to Microsoft Word, I could type in Word, for instance, and there's the application. You know, if I wanted to go out and look for something on the web, like maybe how about a fruitcake recipe? So I can click that and you'll notice that it will go out and do some web searches for me. So the Start menu is really cool in how I really like it. I really do. It needs a little bit of help trying to configure it to what you're trying to do. All right, so going back over to the Start menu again, let's take a look at some of the settings. So I'm going to click the Start menu, and then anywhere on the Start menu, I'm just going to right click and say Start Settings. This gives me the ability to go in and make some changes to the way the Start menu looks. This is something I recommend that everybody do when they first get their Windows 11, or maybe periodically you can even change how things look. So at the very top here we have our layout, and they give you three. One's called More Pins, one's called Default, and then More Recommendations. So let's take a look at each one of these. I'm going to start with the default because that's what Windows is going to come when you click on it. So I've got that checked now. If I go over here to the menu, you'll see that you got this area here for your apps. Then you have this area down at the very bottom, which is where your recommended items are going to show up. Now, recommended items. It could be that it's a recent document that you've worked on. It could be that it's a recent program that you've installed. All kinds of stuff like that will pop up at the very bottom. If that's what you want, then you can leave it at the recommended. So if you notice, it kind of splits the screen, kind of half and half. Notice over here on the side too, we'll get to this just a little bit more. We can actually go through and look at more icons, and we're going to add some here in just a few minutes. So if you like this, then you could just leave it at that, or if you don't like it, we can go back in and say, okay, let's go into more pins. All right, let's take a look at that. So these are items that I have pinned at the very top. Okay, here I am pointing at the screen, and you can't see that part, but so at the very top, this is where the applications are that have been pinned. Now, there are a lot of items that are pinned here that I didn't add, it just came in Windows this way. So I can go in and actually take some of these out. But notice that the recommended section is now much smaller at the very bottom. So I get more room for the application. So like if I wanted to put my Word, Excel, and so forth up here, then I have more room for the applications that I normally would work or use. If I go over here where it says More Recommendations, what do you think is going to happen now? Basically, I get less room for pinned applications and more room for recommended. Again, that could be documents that you've recently worked on, new programs that you've installed, and so forth. Customize this for you, okay? So if you like it one particular way or the other, choose that, and you can come back and forth and change this. So I like to go into the more pins, and this gives me more room at the very top to add applications. Okay, so let's start with that. And by the way, as we go through this, we'll touch on each of these as well, so you can see how these work with these different configurations up here, okay? All right, so we'll click on the start button for just a moment here, and we were just talking about pins here. There are items here that just came automatically pinned to the screen that I'm not going to use, like Microsoft Paint. Okay, I can say unpin from start. Movies and TV, I don't need that, so I can unpin that one. Let's see, calendar, I'm not going to use that one, and let's keep going. OneNote, not going to use that. Unpin that one. Photos, I'm going to do something different for that. Microsoft Store, we'll leave that. Mail, unpin. Office, will unpin that one. Instagram, I'm just going to unpin all the items that I don't really think I'm going to use. Okay, so as I go through this, then I find, let's say this is where I want to end up. Now what I can do is I can actually move them around in an order that I would want. So let's say Microsoft Edge is going to be first, and then of course Word and Excel, PowerPoint. If you wanted the Microsoft Store to be up front here, you can put it there. See how I clicked and I drug that over and dropped it down there. If I wanted to put the to-do over on the end right there, I could do that, and so forth. So Solitaire, let's get rid of that one. Don't need games on there. Clock, I don't need that one as well. So now I've narrowed this thing down quite a bit. So now I've got my Word, my Excel, PowerPoint. So actually I drug these two in. So let's take them back out. And all right, so now if you drag them on top of each other, you'll notice it made a group there. So that's how you put stuff up here. So now let's just say, I'm going to add another program. So Camtasia is a program I want to add to this screen, right? Because it's a program that maybe I would use all the time. So when I clicked on the start, I go up to the top, type in Camtasia. It's going to see the app on my computer, right click on that, and then I can say pin to start, okay? So now when I come over to the start menu, there's Camtasia. If I wanted to, I can move that up to another spot on the menu, and it allows me to put the apps that I'm going to use on a regular basis right there on the screen. I really like that because it is a lot less cluttered than trying to find it the old-fashioned way. So if I want to find apps, maybe I don't know the exact name of the app to add to the screen, I can come up under All Apps, and then I can actually kind of see the way it was in previous versions of Windows. I can scroll through this, and let's say, like, all right, here's one, Google Chrome. If I right-click on that, I can then pin that one to the start, and there's Firefox. If I wanted that one, I could pin that to the start. So I can go down and find applications that I want, and then just right-click on them and say pin to start. Now, if you don't want them on the start menu, you could also put them along the very bottom on the taskbar. I don't like clicking a lot, so if I can get to something quickly, I would much rather do that. But in some cases, you can't put every single application along the bottom because you may have so many that they wouldn't all fit. And so if that's the case, then, okay, the ones that you want to put on the taskbar, put on the taskbar, and then other ones that maybe you don't use quite as often, pin those to the start menu. You get a lot of options for customization on that, okay? All right, let's talk real quick about pinning one to the taskbar at the bottom, and then we'll come back into the start menu. So let's say I want to come under All Apps, and let's say there's one here. This one says Microsoft Access, and I want to put that on the taskbar versus the start menu. If I right-click and then go under More, I can pin it to the taskbar. And then if you'll look down at the bottom now, it actually shows up on the taskbar, right? So now to launch that application, all I need to do is click on that, and it will then launch the application. I don't need to go to the start menu to find the application. But again, there's only so much real estate at the bottom. So you need to pick the ones you want to put down there, and then maybe the ones that you don't use as often up on the start menu. So, or maybe what you do is if you're in the settings here and you want to go back to this one here, it says More Recommendations. Now you just have a few items up here, and then documents and things that you've opened previously can show up here. So that's an option as well. Lots of customization here. So you can make this work the way you want it to work. I really like the way they have set this up. All right, I'm going to make some additional changes here. Let's take a look at some of these items below. Show recently added apps. I've got that turned off, but if I turn that on, that's going to actually now show up under the recommendation section, right? So let's go back under Start for a second. See this section down at the very bottom here? These are apps that I've actually recently installed on the system. So if I didn't have that checked, then what would happen is that it would not those would not show up on here. Maybe you don't care really what new apps you've installed. You'll find them added to the Start menu or added to the taskbar, and then after that, you really don't need to see it any longer, right? All right, if we come under here, it says Show Most Used Apps. And so if we click on that, then what we get is it will tune this up here at the very top where it will show other apps that you're using more frequently. Show recently opened items in Start, Jump List, and File Explorer. So if you click on this, now that's going to give you that down at the bottom here. It's going to show you those apps. Also, if you right-click over an app, it will also give you some, it will show you here those apps that you've opened recently as well, or those documents and so forth that you've opened recently as well. So, all right. Let's take a look at this next piece. I think you'll find it's kind of interesting. Let me go back to the Start menu, and I want you to look at this lower bar along the bottom. It's got your name. It's got the power button over on the side. A lot of people are like, how do I turn the computer off, or how do I restart it? Well, there's the power button, right? So I can click on this and say, change my sign-in options, sleep, shut down, or restart. And so I can actually add icons along here. Then I could free up space along the bottom if it's something I don't really use very often, right? So let's just, anywhere again, go Start Settings, coming out the bottom, and right here says these folders appear on Start next to the power button. So let's take a look at that. So when we go in here, look at all these different options we get for that. The settings, which is really important, right? You really need to have settings turned on because there's so many things you're going to do under settings. File Explorer. If you wanted the File Explorer to where you can, get access to the files on your computer, you can turn that on. And by the way, as we do this, you'll see these little icons are now appearing at the bottom. All right, let's go back in. If I want to look at my documents, I can put that there. Maybe recent downloads, music if I want that, pictures, videos. If I'm networked within an office, or if I'm networked at home and I want to be able to see other computers or other devices on the network, I can turn that on, or my personal folder. So let's just say I've checked all these. Now, how does this going to look? By the way, you notice there's no apply button. You just simply, once you move that slider across, it's active right then. So down at the bottom, all of those icons that I just added, there's my settings, and there's the File Explorer, and there's going to be videos and so forth. I'm just hovering for a second, just stop, and it will show you what it is. So if I wanted to get into settings, I just simply click that, and I'm in settings. So that's another option for doing customization as well. So a lot of really cool ways to customize the Start menu. If you need to get some help, down at the bottom, there's also a help option that you can click on. It will bring up help. And notice it across the top, it says I'm in folders. If I want, I can go back to where I was on the Start menu. If I need to go back to personalization, I click on that word there. It takes me back to personalization and so forth. So that's how you're going to go in and customize the Start menu. Go in and spend a little time, set it up, and try to find the most productive configuration for you. At first, I looked at this and I thought, oh my gosh, I'll never get used to this. And Microsoft seems like they're always changing things. I joke all the time and I tell people, Microsoft, they still haven't figured out when they grow up what they want to be. And so it's always a new way of doing things. I think this new Windows 11 option, and again, initially, I didn't like the Windows 11 Start, and I definitely like it as it's growing on me. The more I use it, the better I like it. It helps me to be more efficient in doing what I need to do. And so I can get access to the applications that I need quickly. I can get access to the documents that I need quickly. that's what I want. And so having this ability to customize this helps me to get what I need as quickly as possible. So hopefully you'll find that it will help you as well. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show today. Listen, if you found this helpful, why don't you give me a thumbs up or click like, subscribe, and if you have a question, leave it in the comments section. I'd like to hear from you on those as well. So let me know what you think, and if you have any issues, let me know what you think about the Windows 11 start menu in general. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you don't like it. It'd be interesting to see what everybody else's thoughts are and opinions are on this. So, all right, we'll see you on the next one.